Hi, welcome to Quiltinator.com. I'm Michelle Johnson. Recently I went to a retreat and my girlfriend Genevieve missed the demonstration that I was doing for the 3D Bowtie Block. So this is for Genevieve, and it really is three-dimensional. These little centerpieces are kind of poofy. This is a quilt that has a 3D bow tie border. And you can see they're done in different colors. These are brights and white, and this is the white background with some 30s and 40 reproduction. So this is one layout for this block. The last one showed you that all the points were pointing in the same direction, so they were all laid out the same. This one gives you a zigzag, and all I did is just turn every other row to face opposite. This time I just turned the blocks to make a 4 patch, and then it makes a circle. Another really cute little look. Here I've attempted to do a color progression with the first layout that we had. So now let's pretend we've just put this as a square and a square. A different square and a square. Sashing strips. Multicolored sashing strips. So as you can see, this is a very versatile block. A lot can be done with this. And now I'll show you how to make it. To make the 3D bow tie block, you need 2 background pieces and 3 pieces that are going to be your bow tie. They're all the same size, so it doesn't matter what size you start with, these are all the same size. So these are 2.5-inch blocks. And so you take one background piece and you put it right side up, so pretty side up. And then you take one of your bow tie pieces and you fold it in half, wrong sides together, so all the pretty sides are going to touch each other. And then you just lay that where this is going across the top, and then your folded side is touching the middle. You take your other piece of bow tie, put it pretty side down, and so you should have 4 raw edges across the top. You're going to sew on the right side. And so when you're done, you're going to have this funny shape. And so the next thing that you do, just leave it, you're going to go opposite. So this side is my focus fabric. And what I'm going to do this time is put on the opposite end the same focus fabric. And then across from it is going to be the background block. Okay. And you're going to make sure all of your pieces here are open across the top. Line it up. And remember, you're going through 4 pieces right there. Okay, so what if you have a directional fabric and you want them to go the same way? So what I have right now is this is going vertically, and you don't want it to go horizontally. If this was a piece that I'm going to say this is the top this way, it really doesn't matter on this. But in case it was, like say it's a little horse or something and you want the horse's heads to face the right way, then when you put it on this side, okay, so here your horse's head would be facing up, and then on this side, you would make sure it was facing down, opposite. And then you just do the same thing, all the pretty sides together. And when you cut it off, or when you finish it, you're going to be left with a piece that looks kind of like a funky H. But what you're going to do is you're going to open this top piece. And you're going to have kind of a little hole there. And so you're going to open it and you're going to pull it out. And you're going to match your middle seams here. And you kind of try to flatten it all out. And then, so you just try to get it put together. This is one of the few times I use pins. And I put on just to this side of the seam. And then just to this other side of this seam here. And then you're going to reach kind of down in here and smush it. And then flatten it and pin it on either side. And I've already done this one. And you want, when you feed this through, this is still a 4-patch. So you want to make sure when this is going through that this is facing towards your foot. And you're like, I know you're saying it's going to flip it up. Well, it will, but still it pushes these seams together and locks them in and gives you a tighter fit. And so we're sewing down. Now here, there's, on all of these, there's going to be it's not going to lay flat. It's going to be at an angle. So what you do is you stitch right up into this seam. And then you're going to re-angle. And it does it on all of them. It doesn't matter what size you're using. If you're using 8-inch blocks, you're still going to have a seam there. And then, let me just cut this off. Okay, so here you have your little 4-patch, and then you're just going to pop these seams. You just kind of pull, and if you need to get a seam ripper to rip these seams out, or those little spots, because that way when you press, you'll be able to press in a circular motion in this little 4-patch. Let me pop those seams there. This little 4-patch will kind of lay flat, and that way you can just press in a row, and you have made your little bow tie block. So with this block, you are not limited to just the bow tie. Depending on your color choices for all of the 4 blocks on the outside will give you a totally different look. And what I chose to do with these were from a 6-inch block exchange. So I took things that kind of would give the similar background from a distance, and they would read the same. And then to unify everything, because it's going to be a really scrappy quilt, I chose a really bright yellow. And I think that looks really good. In this quilt, I put a 9 patch on diagonal, and this is 4 7.5-inch blocks. 7.5-inch blocks. And so what I did on this one was a little different. This centerpiece, which would be the bright yellow, I figured out because 7.5 and 7.5 were 14 inches if you take out your 1/2 inch. And so what I did is I took the centerpiece and I cut, I believe it was a 1/2 inch smaller. So this was like a 13.5-inch block or a 13-inch block. So whenever I put the 7.5-inch blocks together, this was just much larger, but it's done exactly the same way. But that way I could inset this little fussy cut piece, and then I just rolled it like a cathedral roll and edge stitched it. And I could have left it a square just like these are, but again, I could still cathedral roll these if I wanted to. And also, like in between, because you'll see it's a 9 patch. And then in between each 9 patch, I set 4 more blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4. And if you look at it this way, you can get a better look. And then the setting triangles and some borders. So it's a very versatile block. If you don't like the bow tie, you can always do something like this. This is an audition of this block. And all you need to do is get out your phone or your digital camera and take a picture of your layouts, and then go back and decide which one you like the best. This is a second layout, and I have tried putting the lighter blocks in the center and then surrounding it with the color families. This is another layout, and I kind of tried to make diagonals with the color families. And see how that turned out. I really like the third layout best. First one was really just randomly scrappy. Second was trying to do the light from the center and color families outside of it. This one, I liked how the color families were in diagonals, but now the choice is the first 3 rows you can see are just the rows, but the bottom 2, or where the 3 join, I have just laid out some fabric to see if I like the idea of the extra little pop of color in between. So, second design choice. And believe it or not, both of these can be done as a flip and stitch quilt as you go method. And whichever design I choose, I'll show you how to do that. The 3D bow tie block really gives you a lot of choices. So I hope you give this a try. I'm Michelle Johnson, this is Quiltinator.com, and I'm getting back to quilting.